Oh my God, my husband loves you. Oh my God, my wife loves you. Like, let's come in.
Michael B. Jordan always knew that Steve and Marjorie's marriage was never that great. And now it seems that it might come to an end after Marjorie was allegedly caught sleeping with the staff. Ever since the cheating rumors surfaced, everyone's been wondering, was Steve Harvey really the man to take relationship advice from?
Like mother, like daughter. Well, Steve don't deserve this, honestly. So Steve's wife is...
Rumors are going around that Marjorie cheated on Steve not once, but twice, with 2 different men, and you'll never guess who the men are. One of them is none other than Steve's own bodyguard, and the other is his personal chef. Couldn't she have taken it outside of the family staff? And the bodyguard was the same man who played Cupid and brought Steve and Marjorie together. According to Steve, it was his bodyguard, William Freeman, aka Big Boom, that convinced him to get back in contact with Marjorie. He told me, "Look, the only time I've ever seen you happy was when you were with that woman Marjorie. Now, before you go and do something stupid and marry another woman, I'm calling her," Steve told People. And while everyone sees the irony of the situation, Steve Harvey, the guy who's been giving relationship advice for so long, is now dealing with his own relationship problems. Maybe he should read his own book. But it gets worse. As these rumors continue to circulate on social media, another shocking revelation emerged. Marjorie is allegedly planning to take half of Steve's money in a divorce settlement. That means she would leave with about $200,000 more in her bank account. Everyone was shocked at how things took a turn for the worse. Someone wrote, "It's astonishing to learn that Steve Harvey's spouse, Marjorie, was cheating on him with his own bodyguard, and now she's seeking a divorce while also making a staggering $200 million claim on his assets." And apparently these reports are coming from sources close to Lori Harvey's ex, Michael B. Jordan, who apparently had suspicions about Steve's relationship advice all along. Before meeting Steve, Marjorie had led a life quite different from the lavish one she enjoys today. Her first marriage was to Jim Townsend, who she married in the 1990s and had 2 children with. Interestingly, these children, Morgan and Jason, were later adopted by Steve. Unfortunately, their marriage was doomed by Jim's involvement in illegal activities, which eventually got him arrested. According to Radar Online, Marjorie was reportedly under investigation by the FBI during their marriage, and investigators labeled Jim as a drug lord. But Marjorie had her own nickname too. Apparently, she was known as Lady Heroin. Pretty badass, right? Jim served 26 years in prison before being pardoned by President Obama in 2017, while Marjorie managed to avoid charges by divorcing Jim while she still could. And she didn't waste any time to hop to the next man. Marjorie's next marriage was to Darnell Woods, Jim's cousin, who was also involved in drug dealing. She definitely had a type. They had 1 child together, Lori, who was also adopted by Steve. But Marjorie quickly ended her marriage with Darnell once she realized that Steve was on the verge of Hollywood stardom. The timeline of Marjorie's relationships is a little confusing since she apparently met Steve in the late 90s and dated him for a while before going their separate ways. Then they reconnected in 2005. The love story of Marjorie Harvey and Steve Harvey is indeed one for the books. It all began in 1990 when they first crossed paths at a comedy club where Steve was performing, and it was love at first sight.
Our seats were right here at the front, right by the stage, so we were sitting here, the stage was here. So he's just quiet. He just keeps staring at me. So I'm waiting on him to make me a part of the show so we can get on with the show. So he stayed quiet so long staring at me. Now everybody in the club is looking at me. And so he finally realized, okay, I got to say something. He was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know who this is, but I'm going to marry her."
However, the timing wasn't quite right for them at that moment. More like Marjorie didn't think Steve's financial situation was that great back then, so she decided to break up with him. Fast forward to 2005, and fate decided to intervene. They reconnected through mutual friends, and this time sparks flew. Their romance blossomed, and Steve finally decided to propose. In June 2007, they officially became husband and wife. But there was another person in the mix, or a few more to be exact, especially Steve's ex-wife, Mary Shackelford, who thinks Steve cheated on her with Marjorie while they were still together because he moved on a little too fast.
When I think about how quickly he moved forward from me to Marjorie, that was disturbing.
Then Steve took their son Winton away from her.
He took my Winton from me. He turned my son against me.
According to Mary, he manipulated the legal process and left her with absolutely nothing.
I was down and devastated. He maneuvered everything. He maneuvered He manipulated the courts, everything against me.
But as always, people think that there was someone else behind this whole mess. The fans think that it was Marjorie who orchestrated this whole thing, and not Steve. Apparently, Marjorie even instructed Steve to portray Mary as unstable in the media, and had Steve gaslighting Mary and accusing her of being vindictive and harmful to their son. Marjorie did her best to throw Mary under the bus, but everyone was on Mary's side. Soon, Marjorie turned into one of the least liked Hollywood wives. Even Mary exposed Marjorie for who she really was.
I know that as a mother, if I was ever in a position to where I had to be in charge of somebody else's child, I definitely make sure they have a great relationship with that child. But I just don't see how Marjorie, in particular, can call herself a mother to her own children and deliberately try to sabotage my relationship with my son.
And we can't forget that there were kids involved in this whole mess too. Steve adopted Marjorie's kids and loved them as his own, or more than his own kids really. They even changed their last names. Brandy and her siblings found it a bit strange, but didn't make a big deal out of it, thinking it would end there. But boy, were they wrong. After her kids came into the picture, Steve really neglected his own, and everyone noticed. For some reason, he was obsessed with Lori more than his own daughter. And guess who was pulling the strings? Yup, it was Marjorie. She was like the director, making Steve put Lori in the spotlight while keeping his own kids in the shadows. Now, picture how Steve's kids must have felt when they saw him treating Lori like a princess, while they barely had a father figure. One of his own sons, Broderick, had to practically chase Steve down just to spend time with him.
I didn't really have my dad full-time into my life until I was 16.
Lori got to do all the fun father-daughter stuff that Brandy never got, including talking about boys. Brandy was obviously hurt that he took Lori on dates because he never did that with her.
On one of our annual father-daughter dates to my favorite Japanese restaurant, and you just started talking to me about guys, and you just told me that you always supported me and you'd always be there for me no matter what, and you loved me unconditionally.
Even Mary chimed in with some drama, saying Steve wasn't exactly friendly with her son when he'd visit. According to Mary, Harvey once beat up Winton when he was just 11. Poor Winton had bruises and cuts, but Steve was never blamed for it until Mary spilled the beans. According to a police report, Steve got super mad when he caught Winton lying about homework, so he allegedly used a belt and a paddleboard and gave Winton bruises all over, even on his butt and legs. Winton even had trouble going to the bathroom for days after that. Now everyone's on Steve's neck for being a fraud. After he married Marjorie, Steve's career got pretty exciting too. He started giving advice about love and relationships to lots of people. In 2009, he wrote a popular book called Act Like a Lady, Think Like a Man. It was all about how women should understand men, who Steve thought were pretty straightforward. He believed that men mainly cared about making money, and the book said women should make their guys feel like protectors and providers. One of the things Steve said in his book was that living with your boyfriend before getting married wasn't a good idea. He thought the only way to go from being a girlfriend to a wife was by setting a wedding date. Basically, he made marriage sound like the secret to keeping a man happy. But here's the twist. Recently, there's been reports suggesting that while Steve was giving this advice to everyone, his own marriage was going through some tough times. Now people are talking about Marjorie having an affair with the people who work for Steve. Pretty ironic, right? People are noticing the difference between Steve's advice and what might be happening in his own marriage. Remember when Steve threw some shade at Michael B. Jordan after Lori broke up with him? Fans absolutely love this twist and are saying that Michael B. Jordan must be somewhere laughing about it. Sources close to Michael B. Jordan are saying that he always had some doubts about Marjorie and suspected that she might play Steve at some point. Marjorie also apparently got involved in MBJ and Lori's relationship drama. And here's the real gossip. People have been hearing rumors for a long time that Steve and Marjorie didn't want Michael B. Jordan as Lori's partner because he wanted Lori to sign a prenup, but Marjorie didn't like that idea at all. Now, lots of fans think that Michael B. Jordan made a lucky escape by not becoming part of the Harvey family. They're teasing Steve for making a career out of giving love advice, but ending up getting cheated on by the woman he praised so much. One fan wrote, "Imagine whatever Steve Harvey is going through right now. That is what her daughter Lori served to Michael B. Jordan, just a different recipe." Another one addressed the cheating rumors, saying, "Didn't Steve Harvey cheat on his first wife with this woman, married her after she abandoned him when he was broke, ignored his children to focus on hers, and condescend to give us relationship advice from this tower of hypocrisy? LOL, he deserves whatever she shows him." Well, now both of them are denying these rumors, pretending they're all happy. During his appearance at InvestFest 2023 in Atlanta, Steve addressed the rumors that Marjorie had cheated on him. Before he started his set, he addressed that he was fine and his marriage was fine.
Before I get started, just let me say, I'm fine. Marjorie's fine. I don't know what y'all doing, but find something else to do, because we fine.
Marjorie also addressed this on her Instagram. She posted an article titled, "How to Handle Being Lied About," and the caption read, "My husband and I don't usually stop to address all the foolishness and lies that have been spread about us." It's all foolishness and lies according to them, but do you really believe it? Or did Marjorie manage to manipulate Steve once again?